Ultimately, this falls on the shoulders of Mike D'Antoni. And Skip, I can't tell you how much I hate saying that because I genuinely like him. And
I know.
And I want him to succeed because I don't want him to get fired. I really don't. But it's inevitable. He walked into this season. James Dolan would not give him a contract extension, which was what he sought. So
and the players knew that.
And the players knew that. So you walked in with lame duck status.
Yep.
Defense has never been a priority. And then now you're struggling so much offensively that it's affected the defense because there was a stretch when they were playing good defense, okay, with Mike Woodson patrolling the defense, which is what D'Antoni, accepted when Mike Woodson was brought on board. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, you've got guys coming down court. And again, I keep harping on this, and this is the ultimate indictment against Mike D'Antoni. I know that Rick Carlisle and others swear by him. They love him. They think he's an offensive genius. I can't tell you how many times Rick Carlisle has sworn by Mike D'Antoni. But what it comes down to is anywhere from 7 to 10 to 12 seconds, you have a license to shoot the ball if you're open. It does not matter who you are. And D'Antoni refuses to grasp the concept that James Dolan gave Amari Stoudemire $100 million. He didn't give it to Jeremy Lin. He didn't give it to Bill Walker. He didn't give it to Jared Jeffries or anybody else. He gave it to Amari Stoudemire. He brought Carmelo on and basically gave up the farm. Wilson Chandler, Danilo Gallinari, Raymond Felton, Timothy Mozgov. You gave up those dudes to bring Carmelo Anthony, who you all walked into this season owing $85 million to over the next 4 years. You don't want to see a situation where guys have that kind of green light. So when they have that kind of green light, anybody that knows anything about basketball knows that if you got an offensive prowess to your game, and you're considered the man, it could be in the park, and somebody that is not on your level is shooting the ball as much as you, it's going to cause problems. That is what has happened in New York.
Talking about Jeremy Lin.
That's right. Yep. It's had a trickle-down effect, and as a result, it's just dysfunctional right now. They're losing games. They're outside looking into the playoffs.
Yep.
I would be shocked if D'Antoni is the coach next week.
Really? That quickly?
Because I think the Knicks are going to lose 2 of their next 3 to Portland, and 1. I'm saying they're going to lose 1. 2 of the next 3. They play Indiana twice and Portland once. If they win all 3 games, who knows what may happen? But if they lose 2 of these next 3, they walk into this at the end of this week and they'd be 19 and 26.
They've lost 8 of their last 10.
I know. And if Monte Ellis clicks with Brandon Jennings,
that's right.
Look out above,
no question.
Right? Because that's going to put even more heat on the Knicks.
No question.
I'm with you on everything you just said, but I want to say I still love this roster. There's a lot of firepower.
So do I.
I love Carmelo Anthony.
So do I.
Believe in him.
So do I.
I believe in his heart. I don't think he's a selfish player. I think he has a big ego, which he has pretty much earned.
I don't think he's selfish either. I think that's a bad rap he's gotten.
But Chris Broussard, our friend, wrote a terrific analysis this morning for ESPN.com about this offense. And obviously, in D'Antoni's Phoenix offense, it required spacing the floor. So it's going to require Carmelo to start more out on the wing than on the elbow, where he's more comfortable. And if you're on the elbow, you're in Jeremy Lin's way. And then the middle gets clogged, and Jeremy Lin runs into the brick wall and throws up some ridiculous shot or tries some pass that is going to be ill-fated and intercepted. Not clicking, not working there. I thought that those two could figure it out, but I'm not sure that they need a mediator, and D'Antoni's not that guy because nobody's listening to D'Antoni. They're having to figure it out on the fly. And Carmelo, as we saw when we had him on the show from Orlando on that Friday, he can be pretty soft-spoken. He doesn't assert himself. You pushed him on the air that day.
That's right.
Stand up. Speak your mind.
And he won't.
Has he always been that way?
He's always been that way.
Yeah, and he's the one who could take this offense over and just direct it. He could be the point guard without being the point guard. He could play his role, but they all criticize, he's a ball stopper. Well, you know what? When the ball stops, it often goes through the hoop too,
Let me say this to you. There's been reports about he wanting to be traded.
Yep.
That is completely false.
Good.
Carmelo Anthony does not want to be traded from the New York Knicks. He fought to get to New York. If anything, he wants others to leave.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to leave.
So if you say D'Antoni's out by next week.
I think it's inevitable because ultimately you brought Mike Woodson here for a reason. Let's call it what it is.
You
Let's
agree?
call it what it is.
I very much agree. And Mike Woodson is pretty good in Atlanta. He got a little better each year, and then because they couldn't get over the big hump in the playoffs, the first-round hump, he was out, and I didn't have a big problem with that. But I think he's a very good basketball coach, and they need a sea change, like a dramatic change right now. Because if you did make that move, and I'm good with it, if you made it tonight, it just might turn right around.
Well, it might turn right around because what you're going to see is Mike Woodson make Melo and Amari the priority on offense.
And you should.
And you should.
Right.
And that's my point. And so, listen, Charles Barkley has said this. Steve Kerr has said this. Mike D'Antoni is a man that averaged 58 wins a season in Phoenix. Okay? It's nice weather out there, too. But the man was still willing to leave rather than modify his strategies to some degree because Steve Kerr, who's a 5-time champion, was basically saying, you can't win this way. And he still wouldn't change.
Yep.
What does that tell you?